Hi everybody, it's Marcus Collins, and this month
Rachel Addis
with for Sellers Masterclass, 5 keys to maximize sale price. So that's what the Masterclass is about this evening. So let's get started with what we're going to talk about. Let me go over there. There we go. So, buying and selling a home is really clearly very, very important. And you really can't leave it to chance. It's important to let every decision be guided by emotion and first impressions alone. You just can't do that. You really do need to have them well grounded in data and information. And that's really what it's all about this evening. So what are we going to talk about? We break the whole selling philosophy, if you like, down into 5 key steps. Smart decisions, preparation, preparing the home, the product for the market, staging, marketing the home, getting it out in front of the largest number of people, and then just kind of wrapping that whole process up, excellence through teamwork. So let's fire away and talk a little bit about smart decisions. So it's relatively easy to get information today, but it's much, much harder to make sense of it because there's a lot happening in the market right now, as we'll talk about a little bit in a minute in terms of what the market is doing. There's an awful lot going on, and it's difficult to make sense of that. And so we're going to guide you through that a little with the information I'm going to show you this evening. And so this is why we take the time to study our markets. There's a lot of information, for example, on our website about what's happening with the characteristics of the local market. Looking at what happened in 2020, clearly that was a pivotal year. 2021, which has been an incredible year for real estate. Prices not just in Massachusetts, but clearly across the United States and actually across the world in many cases. But we look at that in the local market, about 50 towns within our local area here in Greater Boston. Lots of information on our website about what's happening. And once a month, we did it a couple of weeks ago now, a week ago. We look in depth at a couple of markets in the area. So we really take the lid off, look exactly what's happening, what was the impact of 2020, what's the impact of that moving forward to 2021, and now clearly what's our predictions for 2022. So lots of information on our website. I recommend if you have any interest in what's happening and you're kind of a little bit interested in data, there's lots of information. If you go to our website, maproperties.com, go down to the statistics tab and start poking around. There's also lots of information about the different towns. So what's, at a high level, what's happening in the market today? So there are really, 2 things, and we'll talk, first of all about our changing housing demands, and a little bit later on I'll kind of break down a little bit what the key drivers are in terms of demographics. But what we've seen in 2020 and 2021 is that today's buyers need something different from what they would have 2-3 years ago. Be it they want to be closer to family, they want 2 offices instead of 1 office, maybe they want larger space, they want larger outdoor space. All of that is really a consequence of going through the lockdown of 2020. So buyers have changed their requirements, and existing homeowners as well for that matter, have changed their existing requirements from what they need from a home. And that's one of the key drivers of the market today.
And I think it really speaks to why we're here tonight, right? We're here to help sellers develop some strategies to be really successful, because we recognize that in so many of the towns where we have buyers, there's just not enough inventory.
Sure.
So there you have sellers jumping on that, wanting to say, hey, can I really benefit? And sure they can if they do the right things. And likewise, we have the buyers who are competing. So it really presents an interesting opportunity, right? How we can create win-win for both sides.
Very much so. Yep. And that what's driving the market in terms of demand is these changing requirements. And we see it all the time with our buyers or our existing homeowners, sellers looking to sell to buy a bigger or smaller or a home further out where they get more land or whatever it may be. Just because of those changing housing demands, it's really driving what today's homeowners who potentially become sellers and certainly what today's buyers are looking for. So with all of that, mortgage interest rates are at what is a very low number. I put this in because it's interesting to see how low they are, even in comparison to 2 or 3 years ago. So here we are, we're at an average of about 3%, I guess, give or take. You were talking about somebody got a rate of about 3, bringing it down to 2.8, 2.9 if they look at an arm. So that rate is, at one of its lowest. And this is not exactly enabling the market. What's enabling it is the changing requirements. But mortgage interest rates are allowing it to happen, allowing people to offer more in this market where they're finding they have to, because the mortgage repayments are so low, even in comparison to what they were in 2018, 2019. So what's really happened in the market, and this is kind of the key thing really, is average sale price. So here I'm looking at Arlington, and I'll pick Arlington in a minute. I'll show you what's happening a little bit further out. But as you can see in Arlington, steep rise in prices really since the recession kicked in, not that it really did in Arlington, given that it's so close to Boston. But you can see steady rise in prices over the last decade or so, but then a big jump in prices this year. And that's really the change in demand, buyers coming into the market in force, lots of them, saying, I need changing requirements. I want to be out of my rental. I want to move, I want to downsize into Arlington from Lexington or Belmont or Winchester, wherever, the surrounding towns. And so that's what's pushed house prices much, much higher. So the average sale price in Arlington, for example, is now well over $1 million, which when you think about 3 or 4 years ago, we would never have thought that it would ever get to that number, at least as quickly as it has.
And it also builds confidence for those people who have the means and want to stay in Arlington to buy high end, because you never want to outprice yourself in a community, right? So recognizing that Arlington is not only holding its own and growing in value, but to see that they have homes in the 1.4, 1.5, 1.6. Yep. Years ago, we weren't sure. And would the market be saturated and people have to go elsewhere? But now they can stay. Yep,
certainly. They definitely can. Yeah. New construction as well, coming in to say at those mid ones price point, which we would not even have thought about 3 or 4 years ago.
It was like a stepping stone to somewhere else.
Yep,
and now Arlington's definitely a destination.
That's right, yeah. I go to Arlington and then I go somewhere else. Not so much anymore. It's not just close in. This is Arlington, close into Boston, of course. If I look at Acton, further out, you can see here too, even though the average price is lower than it is in an Arlington, the jump this year has been quite considerable. So we've gone from just over 700,000 to about mid 800s, so about 850. Yeah. That's a huge jump in prices. So it's not just close to Boston. It really is throughout the area. There's an underlying trend here, of course, which is a good school system. Both Arlington and Acton Boxborough have a good school system, so it has that. But you can see, almost irrespective of where you are, close in or even further out, those prices have risen quite considerably. And when you think further out, much of the research is now saying that people are looking to work from home, maybe not 5 days a week, but maybe 2 days a week. So that commute becomes not 5 days a week, it becomes 3 days or 2 days a week. And so it becomes more palatable, if you like, to have that longer commute, because you can buy a lot more for your money, or it's cheaper. So the average price here in Acton about $850, the average in Arlington about $1,050,000, so $200,000 cheaper. Or you can buy more, a lot more for your money in those towns. So not just and close to Boston effect, it's actually throughout the greater Boston area. We've seen this large increase in prices, driven very much by the increase in buyers looking for that changing demand, changing requirements. So that's average prices. So kind of what happened in 2020 and 2021 today, and we kind of think about a little bit more about 2022. As I say, large number of sellers with changing requirements, large number of buyers with changing requirements too. Some sellers, of course, taking advantage of those higher prices, profit taking, if you like, looking to move as they're looking to move to a smaller house or a more affordable house, as they're kind of downsizing. So some of that as well. And so there really has been a shift from what we saw in 2019 to 2020. If you think back, what seems like a lifetime ago, really, doesn't it? That we were talking about a correction in the housing market in late 2019. So we were talking about a softening seller's market. Now, as we come 2020 and 2021, it's a strong, in fact, a very strong seller's market. So that thought of a price correction has disappeared. Strong seller's market with positive price appreciation. And as we look forward to 2022, we are still seeing homes today selling over asking with lots of buyers. We put a home on the market in Lexington this weekend, priced at $2 million, and we had 8 offers on that home. So there are 7 buyers who were unsuccessful, and here we are in almost mid-November.
Yeah.
And so as we think about 2022, it looks to us anyway, certainly the initial part of 2022, that we will see a very similar effect to what we're seeing this year. Not good news for buyers because it's tough to be a buyer in this market, no question. But here we are talking about sellers, very strong market for sellers. And so early part of 2022, get my years right here, 2022, we will see a similar effect to what we've seen here throughout 2021. Now, whether that will continue throughout the whole of 2022, too early to say. But given the number of buyers there are on the market today, mid-November, and given the small number of homes that are going to come on the market between now and kind of January or February 2022, we can see that as homes come on early part of 2022, we're going to see the new buyers, as we always do, in the new year, but we're also going to see a lot of carryover buyers from this year who've been unsuccessful. So that strong sellers market will continue at least for the first half of 2022. More to say on this whole topic in our monthly live streams where we look at the markets in some local towns. You'll find those on our website, and there's a blog about each of those, so we'll go into a lot more detail. But that's kind of the high level picture in terms of what's happening in the market. So let's take a look at a couple of other topics here in this kind of smart decisions, thinking about home sellers. First one is, the inevitable question. Certainly here in Lexington, Winchester, Belmont, but increasingly in other towns too. Arlington, for example.
Take Waltham.
Yep.
We had an example as well.
Yep, we had one there this year as well. Is my home a teardown? Does it make sense to sell directly to a builder? So the first question is to ask is, well, so when is it a teardown? Right? And the answer is where land value is greater than what a home buyer would pay. Now, think about what we just said about the market. The market is very, very strong. There are a large number of buyers out there. And when you think about teardowns, they're reasonably priced. They have to be in order to be teardowns. You don't tear down a $1 million home or a $2 million home. They're reasonably priced, and inevitably there are more buyers at that reasonable price level. And so here's this equation is very rarely true because there are lots and lots of home buyers out looking to buy homes at reasonably priced. And so it's very rare to find that land is worth more than home buyer. And you're right, we had a house in Waltham this year. We did some preparation, which Rachel will talk about in a moment. And lo and behold, a home which you might have expected to be a teardown actually was snapped up by a home buyer.
In competing situation.
But yeah. Absolutely. So, so this is rarely the case. It's really true that land value is greater than home value.
And I think it's really important to point that out because we know there are sellers who were probably being approached directly by builders. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know better, you can think, what an easy solution. Right. Absolutely.
But there, potentially there's an as easy solution that will yield you more money, as we'll show you in a moment. So, first question is who's telling you your home is a teardown? So clearly the builders are. We know that makes sense that they do. It's kind of pretty transparent. And, they're going to tell you they're going to pay top dollar for your home. But if they're not competing with anybody else, why would they, of course? So it's kind of said pretty transparent when it comes to a builder who approaches a potential home seller. Not so clear when it comes to agents, because what might happen is an agent might come in and look at your home and go, I think your home might be a teardown. Why don't I introduce you to a builder I know? You guys work out, what it is, what he's going to pay you for the home. I think that's probably the right thing for you to do. So why is that happening? What's happening, under the covers, if you like? So what's happening is the agent has a relationship with that builder. So when the builder buys the home, let's say, the off-market home, builds new construction, that agent will get to list the new construction. So they foregoing, if you will, the commission on a, let's call it a $500,000 sale for the commission on a $2 million sale. So, be cautious when agents tell you your home may be a tear down, because it's not necessarily as obvious, not necessarily as transparent as it should be, I guess. Certainly more transparent with a builder, but when agents say that, be cautious about that too. Who are they actually working for? Are they working in your best interest, or are they working in the best interests of themselves and the developer? So be cautious on that one. Let me run you through just a couple of quick examples of homes that you might envisage would be a tear down. Here's a good example. The maximum builder offer for this home was $770,000. We did some smartening up. We listed it for $839,000, and the result was we had 7 offers, and it sold for $900,000. That's a considerable increase from what they would have, the home seller would have got if they sold directly to a builder. So there's, considerable amounts of money there if you go through that little bit of effort to get the home ready for the market, which Rachel will talk about in a moment. That will, you see, as you can see here, there's a considerable amount of benefit if you do that. Here's another example. Builder value $550,000. Some smartening up costs. There was quite a lot to do in this home. This number is far higher than we would envisage most preparations taking. Listed for $649,000. Now remember, this was a home that $649,000 is a sweet spot in terms of price. There are lots and lots of buyers around at that price. And look, the results were 10 offers, and it sold for just over $700,000, with a net increase to the seller of over $130,000. So be cautious when you're looking at teardowns, or is your home a teardown? There is considerable value in today's housing market, in the houses in today's housing market. And so we came to, I've seen this multiple times, and so we came up with this program called Buyer or Builder. The idea here is that we get you 2 pieces of information. The first piece of information is a market analysis that will tell you how much your home will sell for on the open market. Perhaps a small amount of preparation, some painting perhaps. How much will your home sell on the market to a buyer? We'll also get you the number for a builder, what a builder will pay you for it. And then you have those 2 bits of information. You can make a call. Which way should I go? Should I sell to a buyer? Should I put it on the market, sell to a buyer? Should I say to sell to a builder? So the idea here is to give you the information that you need to be able to make the right decision. That's key. And so the buyer or builder scheme is really all about that, where you get those 2 numbers. You can then make the call. The difference is only $25,000, Marcus. I think I want to go the builder route because it's much, much easier for me. Okay, fine. On the other hand, and what happens more often than not, the buyer number is much, much larger than what a builder would necessarily pay. So that's a scheme that we have, or a program we have together. We put together that, we recommend that if you are being approached by builders for Is My Home a Teardown, reach out to us and we can kind of get you those 2 numbers so that you can make the right decision in terms of whether you should be a teardown or not.
And I think what's, what really prompted, I believe, doing these monthly presentations is that we want buyers and sellers, so in tonight's version, our sellers to be the smartest people at the table. And when you look at this buyer builder thing, if someone's sitting out there thinking, it might be so much easier to sell to a builder because I have to deal with all that stuff on my own. Well, here we want to reinforce, we're a team. So in our case, we have the luxury of having people like a project manager, like a coordinator, who will help do a lot of the things to help a seller really understand what would be involved to do the work so they don't sell to a builder.
Yep.
But it can be very daunting if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not sure I know how to take this on. And that's really been a part of why we started doing this, right? To really build people's confidence in knowing that there are options, and
Right, and that's why within our team we have a project manager who will look at the work that needs to be done and organize the painters, organize the project for you. Rich will talk more about that in a moment. But you're right. I mean, it can be a little bit daunting. Gosh, how am I going to do this? I just don't know where to start. That's where we come in and say, relax, we've got this. It really isn't as difficult. We have people that can help you, kind of lead you all the way through this.
Yeah,
in some cases, we've had multiple cases where a seller has basically moved out and left it to us. We've just kind of carried on and done everything. And that's, that's something possible. Nice. That was, the Waltham house, really. They had moved out. The house was cleared. We organised the painters. We kind of ran that project for them. So they had almost nothing to do except a few decisions on the way. So we can make it much, much easier for buyers, for sellers in today's market, if they are thinking about, is my home a teardown? Don't be daunted by that preparation you have to do
and the
to get on the
decluttering
market.
And the junket and all the stuff.
Right.
That you have to do,
Yep.
so.
That's much easier.
Right.
We can handle that for you. Help you with that process. Yeah. So, what does selling in 2022 look like? Less open houses than we have seen previously. They're getting more and more. But what's happened here is that buyer behavior has changed. Buyers used to go to an open house on a Saturday and or a Sunday. As yes, they're looking at the home, a little bit social. It was the way most people did it. But now the serious buyers have changed that behavior. What they are doing is looking at everything online first. Then, once they've gone through all the homes that came on the market, looked at all everything, the pictures, the videos, the 3D tours, done all of that, then they are making those private showings. They don't necessarily want to be in an open house with... We've had open houses where we've had 100 people through in a 2-hour window. And you really can't get to see the home. That was never really satisfactory. And so buyers' behavior has changed. It changed in 2020, and that's carried through in 2021 and will continue moving forward. Less about open houses, more about doing all of the research online first, perhaps on a Friday, deciding what homes you're going to see and organising private showings to do that. And those private showings are non-overlapping, so you have the beauty now, of course, is you're not having to compete with other people in the home. It's all yours for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, however long it is. It's all yours to really look at the home in detail. And that, I think, that's one change we've seen in 2020 and 21, and it's been a really positive change.
And I think what's interesting is it's a win-win for both sides. So on one hand, you have the buyers who can go through the home, see it in a more leisure way or a more comfortable way. You have the sellers who were tracking the number of visits. So for the seller, we're really being able to give some very good feedback early on in the weekend to say, look, you're getting a lot of interest or you're not. Be prepared for offers or don't. So it's creating win-win, right?
Yep,
so it's
absolutely. Good. Yep, you're right. We can actually see what's happening as those private showings tick up. Feature sheets are back, although we are putting, as most people are going to a restaurant now, you have to use your phone to view the menu. We do that as well, but feature sheets are back. But the big difference is something that we've been doing all along, actually, and it's about virtual. Marketing's all virtual. We changed almost nothing changed in what we did come 2020, except we put our feature sheets online, and we've kept them there as well as now created printed ones too. But really was about videos, 3D tours, websites, floor plans, all of that, being so the potential buyer can do all of that research on a Friday. That's kind of key. And the other change that we've seen in 2022 is the closing process tends to be just enough people around the closing table. That's really it. All of that's been kind of worked out. So that's home buying in 2022. Big difference is everything has to be virtual. Everything has to be ready, come go live, but everything has to be virtual because that's what the serious buyers are looking for. And that, at the end of the day, is what drives buyers into the home over the weekend when it's on the market, and that inevitably drives prices higher, of course.
Just one other thought came to mind, because here we are talking from the perspective of the seller, right? So it's very nice too when the sellers are able to step away during the weekend when the home's on the market, because here we are talking about private showings, and when as an agent you can book an appointment very quickly for your buyers. That also is very nice. It takes away a lot of the stress. So I'm just saying that's something else that we really speak to our sellers about.
Right. Yeah. If we recommend, if you've got a home that's priced well, preparation, done all that work, you really don't want to be, well, I can only show it between 10 and 3. Yeah. You've done all that work, all of that's work being done. Just go away for the weekend and let all the serious buyers make those private showings, because if they're making a private showing, they're serious. Right. You're not going to make a private showing if it's 3 bedrooms and I'm looking for a 5 bedroom. So the private showings are serious buyers looking through the home, and you want to make that, as you said, Rachel, as easy as possible.
And it's all part of the strategies when we speak to sellers. We want to help them be successful, right? So it's all
absolutely.
good. It's all part of the big picture.
So who are today's buyers? Interesting to look at some demographics, because this is what's driving the market, with the exception, or with the layer on top, which is these changing requirements, is adding a layer to this. But prior to 2020, what was driving the market was all about demographics. And let me explain what I mean by that. So this is called a population pyramid. It shows you how many people are in which age bracket. So two areas on this are important, two bumps, if you will, on this. The top yellow bar are the baby boomers. There are more than one of them. Are the baby boomers. Those were the children born after World War II who are now thinking about retirement and therefore downsizing. So there's a group of sellers there looking to buy a different home, usually smaller, usually more affordable, but that's what they're looking to do, looking to move out of Lexington, Winchester, Belmont, for example, and move into an Arlington or a Waltham or a Watertown. The lower yellow bar are the first-time home buyers, the millennials. Now they're looking to move out of the rental, perhaps in Boston, Cambridge, Somerville, into their first home. And this is why I showed the price graph for Arlington, because if you think about Arlington, around it sits Lexington, Belmont and Winchester, There, people downsizing out of those three towns are looking to move into a town relatively close by. Arlington's the next town. It's more affordable. The homes are smaller, therefore it's more affordable. And so it's an ideal destination for the downsizers from those towns. Now, the first-time home buyers in Boston, Cambridge and Somerville look at Arlington as easy commute into Boston, close to Boston, good school system, vibrant town. And so it's an ideal target, if you will, for the buyers looking to move into their first home. So here we have these two groups looking to move out of Lexington, Winchester and Belmont into Arlington, out of the rentals in Cambridge, Somerville, Boston, into Arlington. And that's why the Arlington market specifically, but not just Arlington, is a very, very hot market, because you've got these two groups looking to move into it. And so this demographic change that we see here has really been the main driver in the market today. Now, you layer on top of that in 2020, the change in requirements. So we've got more people looking to sell and more people looking to buy because they want something different, kind of layers on top of this demographic change. And that's why we're seeing a lot more buyers in the market and sellers in the market, because we've got the demographic shift and we've got the changing of requirements. So that's kind of the two things that are driving it now. Once we get back to normal, or where we were in 2019, it was really about this demographic shifts that was driving the market. Interestingly, though, about half of homeowners were first-time home buyers. And it's interesting. First-time home buyers, when they bought a home, we've seen the price increase. We saw, Arlington gone from $850 to $1,050,000 in terms of price increase, or $950 to $1,050,000, in average price. Once they bought that, they have very little money left over. They don't have the money to repair or update the home. And so, as you think about them, they're looking at a home thinking, gosh, this home needs a lot of work, or this home is move-in ready. So they're really looking for, in most cases, a home that is fresh and move-in ready. Or, and here's the key, they want a home they can invest in, and therefore they want a big discount. So they haven't got much money. If I'm either going to invest it all in a home, which is, guess what, move-in ready, or I want a bit of a discount here because the little bit of money I've got left over is what I'm going to have to spend on updating the home. So a lot of this, what we'll talk about in preparation and staging, is really about catering to that first group. That set of buyers, which is the largest set of buyers, that want a home that is fresh and move-in ready. That's really the key. And if you can create that product that today's buyers want, that's what will drive home prices higher than they would ordinarily be. So that's kind of the big picture in terms of why we talk a lot about preparing the home, staging the home, making it look like something that buyers walk into and fall in love with, if you like. The internet has clearly had a huge impact. All buyers search online, that's for sure. They also know how to get information. This is how they get information. They are used to online feature sheets, floor plans are online, 3D tours, videos, all of that, websites. That's the way that they get information, and that's the way that they expect today's products, not just a home for that matter, to be marketed to them. You're buying a car, inevitably you would go to gm.com, ford.com, tesla.com. You want to buy a home, you would go to 40winthrop.com, 50tomlin.com. You expect to be able to go there and find all the information about the home readily available. And when we talk about marketing, I'll kind of explore this in a little bit more. And the other thing, just to kind of finalize this section, is buyers are very educated about the real estate market. They are on Zillow and Realtor and Redfin and so on. They know an awful lot about what's going on in the market. And so the reason we do this sellers masterclass is to bring the sellers up to the same level the buyers are inevitably at. Buyers are out weekend after weekend after weekend trying to buy a home. Sellers not necessarily looking at homes, similar homes to theirs, to see, so how are they being marketed? How are they being prepared? How much is it worth? Sellers tend not to do that. And so the idea behind these masterclasses is really give you all the information you need to allow you to be in the best possible position to attract all of those buyers that are out there. And if they're looking for online presence, provide them with an online presence. I understand why I need to provide that. So that's kind of...
And I just want to jump in. I know you'll touch on this later as well, but that's a great point, because if you consider that our buyers are much more knowledgeable about how they can find information or learn about homes that are coming on the market very quickly through these apps and these different websites we're talking about, then you have what we do on behalf of our sellers to make sure that every room of their house is photographed and shown on MLS or on our website. We do a website. We do that 3D tour. We do the virtual tour. But we're raising the bar of what buyers can expect. And so when you're a seller that doesn't do that, buyers are a little bit more cautious. They don't see as much information when they go visit that house versus they visit another house, and they're seeing the difference. Now, in addition to that, if you consider that Massachusetts is this voluntary state where sellers don't have to disclose things, but we educate our sellers. If you have the information, if you know how old your systems are, if you know when you did some improvements, did you get those permits? These are all things we know the buyers are going to be asking. So if you consider it's all part of the bigger picture that we're trying to help our sellers, again, be as successful as possible, right? But if sellers don't know that these are things they should be doing, they don't know that they're just blending in as opposed to standing out. And I see it when my buyers go to look at homes. They see that, oh, these sellers have a lot more to offer to tell us about, or it's one of your listings. Oh, I know that's what we're going to see there. And it's all slowly but surely changing just the whole perspective, both from a buyer and a seller, right? And we're glad we're shifting. We're getting those sellers really up to speed there.
Right, that's the whole idea behind it.
Right?
And I think, back to what we said before, today's buyers expect, consumers expect in general, but whatever it is they buy, doesn't make any difference. A house versus a car versus whatever. I mean, everything is online today. And when it comes to a huge purchase, $1 million home in Arlington, $1.6 million home in Lexington, $1.5 million in Winchester.
A $700,000 house in Linfield.
Right.
Wherever you are.
They're
right?
expecting all of that information, because wherever you are, that's considerably more expensive than a car would be. And look what I get when I actually go and buy a car. And so that's key. And sellers, the whole trick here is buyers change when they get all that information. Makes them much more confident, much more comfortable writing an offer. Potentially writing an offer that makes it a very competitive offer in this market, and that's really the key. We don't want to give them any, well, I'm not sure about, I didn't see, there's no information about this, or we want to kind of take that away. So
and they definitely notice the difference when something's lacking.
Right.
So we're here for you, sellers.
There we are, of course. So it's critical to know the kind of big questions to ask. To know what's happening and why. That's really what Smart Decisions is all about. And the key one, of course, trust the people who represent you. That's kind of key. Because what you know or don't know really does impact your outcome. We see this week after week after week. Homes that should sell for way over asking don't. And they don't for some obvious reasons. And we'll kind of touch on that and talk about that as we...
Do we just mention that today? How I think there's a misconception, right, that every home is selling out there. So,
That's true.
we talk about that. 49% don't, right? Or don't sell at asking.
Right.
And 51% sell over and above. But it's not
It's not that easy.
It's not the norm.
Right. So, preparation, Rachel.
Thank you, Marcus.
There's the graph you were talking about.
Yes, so there we go. So if the market's so strong, why do so many homes sell for below asking price?
Right.
And we know there's lots of reasons, actually.
Right, and we're going to talk a lot about those now, right?
So here the take-home message is that as a seller, the longer your home sits on the market, the lower the price you're ultimately going to obtain. Because over time, buyers recognize that if a house is still sitting there, there's something either wrong with it or no one else wants it. What's going on? And you can see from this graph that the best time to get way above over your asking price is in that first initial phase, like the first few days when the home is on the market. Thanks, Marcus.
Right, yeah.
And then after that, the home sits, and people are going to wait to see what else is coming on the market. And then maybe they'll go back and revisit your home. What we see here is that the indication of the homes that are selling above asking down the road, those typically could be new construction, right? Where the home isn't quite finished, the builder's open to selling to someone, but until he finishes or she finishes the home, the buyer may not really be able to picture how beautiful or, the value of the home. And so ultimately the home does sell for over asking or at a good price, but that's more the new construction ones. Right. Ultimately, we really want to catch the buyer's attentions right out of the gate.
Right there, right here.
Yeah.
This is the key one here.
Yeah, right
That's
there.
the key. And that first, week or so, first weekend,
Yeah.
increasingly, it seems like a very short period of time, but really that first weekend is when the really high prices come along.
Yeah, I still think of my seller who she entered the process of selling her house as, this is going to be great, you'll have a couple of open houses every couple weekends, we'll see what happens.
Right.
I was like, no. After all the effort that you've put into getting your house ready to come on the market, what a letdown if your home doesn't get an offer on that following Tuesday. Right. We see that play out time and time again.
Yep.
And then sellers will ask us, well, what happened? And we'll revisit our strategy and we'll talk about the price and the marketing and the different things that contributed to maybe what happened. And,
so when it comes to preparation,
yep.
a few different options that today's sellers, can do.
And all of the options can work. We want sellers to be aware of that, right? We're working with their particular situation to make things work as smoothly as possible. So the first option is that you can do nothing, that buyers or developers will compete for your home. You can do some minor cleanup and cosmetic improvements, and we'll talk more about what those mean. And that goes back to what Marcus is saying, that buyers want to feel that when they move in, the house is really ready for them to make it their own, that it feels good. Or you can do a bunch of updates. You can spend your money wisely. You can that's varies from cosmetic ones to some major renovations, perhaps fixing a bathroom as opposed to just painting the tile or painting the floor, painting the walls. It really depends on how quickly you want to turn things around, and that also speaks to what you were saying earlier about the market. We've been able to help sellers turn things around within a few weeks and get their home on the market. Why? Because sellers recognize that there are those buyers who week after week were looking, weren't quite successful, so they continue to be in the market. Right. And as a seller, that's great because it's forcing or encouraging you to make a decision which is something maybe you've been considering for a while. Right. So we really have had some great success for our sellers and with our sellers recently, right?
We definitely have, no question about that.
So when it comes to preparation, we recognize that no one answer fits all. So if one of the things we say to our sellers is that if you have a bathroom that you've wanted to update for a while, if you don't think you're going to be in the home for more than you want to move out within the year or two, then maybe you don't want to do that complete renovation. If you're going to be in that year in your home for 2 or plus years, then by all means do the things that you've been dreaming about. Why shouldn't you benefit from them before you put your home on the market? Many high return on investment tasks actually don't give you more money in your pocket when it comes time to selling the house. And that's something we really want to help people understand. And we advise you on the best things to do, and typically they're things that are painting the cabinets, replacing some appliances so that everything is very symmetrical in your home, right? We help you prioritize what those things are, and as Marcus also touched on earlier, the beauty of being a team is we have a colleague who is really very, very good at navigating the resources and coordinating the projects and helping our sellers recognize that these things cannot be that daunting, that in fact they're very doable.
Yep.
So there you go. Talked about whether it's getting you some contractor resources. In fact, I love when I meet a seller who's had some great success and they share with me who they've used. That happened recently with a buyer. So now I have yet another contractor to reach out to connect some sellers to. But we help you with that. We oversee the project. You decide on the level of assistance you want, whether you want to be involved and make the calls yourself. And I do have a seller who wants to do that. She'd prefer that I give her names, and then she's going to navigate who she feels that she has a good fit with. I know that you've also had some experiences with sellers who have said, thank you very much, could you just take care of it, and I'll be the silent observer, right? At the end of the day, it's whatever it takes to help you take advantage of the market that we're facing, where if you want to downsize or you want to make a change and leave this part of the country and go somewhere else, that we can help you make it happen, because there are buyers who are continuing to really want to, find a place to call home here.
Right.
And that's our goal.
Yep. And it's really, I think, up to the seller to decide how much assistance they want. If you want, as you say, if you want to run the whole project, we can give you our recommendations of painters and so on, and you can go ahead and do it all. But on the other hand, and the phrase that was coined by one of our sellers was, he wanted to be an interested observer. He essentially wanted to sit back, let us, MA Properties, do all of the work. He just wanted to kind of sit back and know it was going to be done. So it really is whatever level of assistance the sellers want.
I recently met some sellers who are living in Medford, and it's been a great fit, and now they're ready to try Arlington out, right? So that's their goal. So now here we are in November, and when I went to visit their home, they pointed out things that they were like, we want to do something about this, we're not sure. And the truth is, they are things they should do. They should fix the vanity in the bathroom. They should do some painting in the kitchen. They should definitely change their fixtures out. And when I said to them, we will help you do that at no cost to us, other than that we help organize it for you. You enjoy it over the next few months. So come March, when you're ready to put your house on the market, you've actually enjoyed living in your home. And so they were really very much so appreciative.
Yep.
And again, I think it goes back to what you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And here's a role that we're happy to help people with.
Yep. Because it can be quite daunting.
Yeah.
Let's do some before and afters. That's always fun.
All right.
There we go.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so clearly we recognize that you have to live in your house.
Right.
And so here's a house that has been lived in. Unfortunately, I'd say there's a little more stuff out there than is necessary. So we looked at that house, and we recognized that it has great potential. Yes, it does have some wallpaper and some things that need to be addressed, such as the after photo, which really plays to the fact that you have a beautiful hardwood floors, you have a beautiful bay window there that take the curtains out, remove the wallpaper, declutter the home, and it really was a beautiful room. The copy.
If you look at that, the light fixture is exactly the same.
I noticed that. I was going to comment on that, because nowadays you can replace a light fixture pretty reasonably, but we didn't even do that.
Right. But you can see the difference there, and literally all that was declutter, remove the wallpaper, and there you have that's that effect.
Great example.
Yeah.
Here's an instance with a room that unfortunately definitely would deter anyone from wanting to go in there. You look at the pink walls, the light blue trim, the carpet. It's just really unappealing. The ceiling paint, you're not sure what to make of that room, right? And it could seem very daunting. Now, the after picture shows by pulling up the carpet, putting down some of that luxury vinyl flooring, painting the walls and the ceiling, same fan, right? And the room is very inviting. A nice play space, a nice recreation room.
In a minute you'll see what it looks like when it was staged. It looks we looked the before and the after is a huge. But that, if you're looking at that, remove the carpet, put some flooring down, not very expensive, do some painting, and that's all that's made that huge difference there.
And I was just going to, no worries, keep going. Okay, so here we have another great example. In this instance, you look at the kitchen on the left with the dark cabinets, the mixed types of appliances, the counter, the island countertop was not really as fashionable as we know that people like these days. And by doing some simple changes, changing the hardware, painting the cabinets, changing the counter so it was a quartz counter and making it consistent. Really, in this case, changing the light fixtures made this kitchen look really very appealing. And
minimal cost,
maximum impact.
That's key, right?
And kitchens continue to be so much a desirable spot for people.
Right,
this
one
as
again,
well,
right?
In this case, here was a kitchen that really is very attractive in its current state, but it wasn't getting the attention in the home. After 103 days, the seller knew it was time to do something, perhaps to change things up. They hadn't had success with another agent, so by taking a look at that kitchen and revamping it, painting the cabinets, keeping the counters, I believe, the same, changing out the appliances. You can change into stainless steel appliances, I think, very reasonably. The backsplash is the same, but simply changing the color of the cabinets. White really is one I think that's universal It's
Today it is
yeah,
anyway. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
So, and that made a big difference because this seller, as I recall, didn't only choose to paint the kitchen, but they chose to also make a change to the master bath. And I'm not sure if that's the next picture or not.
We'll see that in a minute.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
In any event, thanks for reminding me that here we're looking at this before and after, with the house being on the market for 103 days with a former agent, and it just perhaps wasn't the best fit, and it just didn't work. They listed with us and painted the kitchen, did the things that we just pointed out. They got competing offers, and we're very, very happy on both sides, the buyers and the sellers. It's a great story.
Yep.
Okay, another instance of a kitchen. Kitchens are rooms that can get a little cluttered. So unfortunately here we have a kitchen that was very cluttered. It's pretty modest. The white appliances, the dark wood cabinets, but it's got a nice space, a nice layout. It definitely has potential. The nice light hardwood floors. So you could see that there's an opportunity there. Kept the ceiling light the same. That sort of blends now. You have the white cabinets. Even the white appliances stayed. But look at how much cleaner and fresher it looked.
And I think as you look at that, the only change that was made there was the painting.
Yeah.
And I know,
decluttering.
Yeah, decluttering and painting, painting the cabinets. Yeah. That's really it. No appliance changes, the floor's the same. So very little effort, but you can see the difference there between what it was like previously. Even if you got rid of the clutter, it would have looked an old dated kitchen, whereas now, and thinking it from a buyer's perspective, they would have come into that house even if it were decluttered. And then they would immediately think, oh, it's an old kitchen. I've got to replace the kitchen. That's really expensive. And so that's a deterrent to them writing an offer, and certainly a deterrent to them writing a good offer.
And just to point out, when we talk to our sellers and give them these options, I think it is good to note that, yes, I mentioned buyers like stainless steel. But here's a case where making the kitchen white, there was no need. We're not looking for people to spend money that they don't have to.
It was a modestly priced home, so perfect.
But I do want to point out, we've also said how buyers are very smart these days. And so buyers will go into a house like that, or any house. They'll open the cabinets, they'll want to touch them. And I do think there's also a difference between a painter who paints the cabinets very sort of well and a painter who doesn't. So I'm not suggesting to don't shortchange yourself as a seller. Recognize these are good decisions, but still make a good decision even within it about who.
True.
So but it does pay off. These are good turn-in.
Because now a buyer comes into that home and thinks, I could replace the kitchen, but I don't need to.
Yep.
Maybe I'll replace the kitchen in 3 years or 5 years' time. The key thing is I can move in, I'm going to be in before Thanksgiving, and guess what? I can invite friends around for Thanksgiving lunch because the home is ready and I can showcase it.
Okay, and I do have to point out that given that you've already set the scene, that our markets are so strong right now for sellers. Sellers are getting 100,000 over, 200,000 over. These are buyers who have been looking week after week. So when they finally go for this house and they pay $200,000 over asking, they don't have any other money left to do this type of stuff. So if you, the seller, has done these types of things, when they're paying that extra $200,000 over, they're okay because they can live with that.
Yep.
So it's
that's the key, right? That is the key. Maybe I want to replace it in the future, but I don't need to do it yet,
right.
And I can still have Christmas and Thanksgiving, whatever this year.
And when they're making the offer on your home, they are already thinking, all right, I'll go up that 50 because I can live with it that way.
Right.
Because that's what it's taking right now to get the house.
Right. Absolutely. Here's another example.
Yes, this kitchen with its greenish color countertop, the white appliances, the dark wood, the dark brown cabinets, the curtains on the window, the light fixture. Let's see what happened. So voila, right? We have the painted cabinets yet again. Yep. Kept with the white appliances. Did change out the flooring because there are some very good options I'm learning at Home Depot, at Lowe's that are not very expensive and do make a big difference. So this spoke volumes. When buyers walked in, they could live with this kitchen.
Yep. Same with bathrooms now.
I think, and this has been a great example of something to educate our sellers on. Bathrooms that have the sort of vintage colored tiles that at times can look really
Pinks
cute. And the greens. Those can in fact be painted over. So here's an example, right, with a bathroom that the tiles were painted. The vanity is the same. The wallpaper was taken off and the walls were painted. And what a difference.
Yeah, makes a huge difference. Yeah. Here's another example where they did actually the cabinet. There you go.
So again, not very expensive in the big scheme of things. I think we've also, found it really helpful to educate sellers that you spend $5,000 or $10,000, if that, on something, and the difference it makes when a buyer makes an offer is in the $25,000 more. I mean, it really is a good trade-off.
Yeah, there's a huge difference in the money you spend versus what the money the buyers will be compelled to spend because there are multiple buyers competing for for the home. That's the key.
This is an example that I can relate to with some sellers recently, because we look at this bathroom and I have sellers who did what I think you're going to show in the next picture. They painted things like the cabinets, they painted the counter, got rid of the brown tile in the background. What a huge difference, and I had sellers who did the same thing, and it really made a difference even more recently with the bathroom. Decluttered and made it just looking very clean and fresh.
Here's that bathroom you were talking about.
Yeah. So this bathroom matched very nicely with that beautiful oak kitchen that we saw earlier. But it sounds like when the sellers painted the kitchen and saw how beautiful it looked, they realized that it behooved them to do the bathroom as well, or they chose to. We did not encourage them or think it was necessary. But look at a difference, and I really can say it's beautiful.
Yeah,
just
definitely the case.
So here we like to point out that not only is the cosmetic improvements such as painting inside the house something to think about, but here's an example with a FSBO, a house that was for sale by owner, and then it came on the market for over a year with another agent, and then it became a FSBO again. Clearly the seller unfortunately was not getting the results he wanted. The house was a very lovely house, but the color on the outside and the way it looked there, God bless you.
Excuse me.
God bless you. So here's an instance where this house needed some help on the external the look of the house, and so by painting the trim was kept the same, but by painting the color of the garage and the garage doors white so they matched the trim, the house had a whole like a facelift.
Yep.
And it really looked nice.
Remove those two straggly trees in the front too, and you can see huge difference. Here's another one.
Yeah. In this case, this house unfortunately was overpowered by the trees, so they did some landscaping and cleaned up the trees. And you found that the house actually had a side door that was something that was a really wonderful feature to learn about. So it did wonders for the house just to give it some attention on the outside. So proper landscaping definitely pays off.
Yeah. The key thing here, if you look at that window there, it's covered by a tree. Yeah. So that room got almost no light. Yep. And then, of course, and it was a dark, I remember this house well. It really was a very dark house. And it was dark not because of the layout of it. It was just dark because of the trees that were in front of it.
And I think it's also nice to point out that the trees that were planted, right, they're new trees, and people think of that as new construction.
Right, it kind of telegraphs them, oh, new construction. Yeah. It's not new construction, but it kind of looks like it's new construction.
Yeah. We've often said to sellers, too, that we find that people don't use the front door, right? So when you bring your house on the market and you have an agent showing the house and they're coming in at the front door, they're seeing things that as a seller, as a homeowner, you don't think about because you don't use that door.
You always go in through the garage, right? Or through the side door.
Right.
But this is a great example of that. They always, inevitably, they never went into the side door, ever. They came in through the garage and they never actually went to the front of the house and looked what the home looked like. But of course, that's exactly what a buyer will do when they come up. That first impression, hugely important, as well as making the house light and so on. So that's preparation. That's kind of creating the product. But as you've seen with many of those photographs, the rooms are completely empty. So that today's buyers are a little bit confused what many of those rooms are for. That I found they go into an empty home and it's I'm a little bit confused. Where's everything? Where do I put this? Where do I put that?
Absolutely. And I think the other thing that can be misleading, and it's important to point out to sellers, is that there's this cool, savvy thing that people can do now. They can do this virtual staging, right? So as a seller, you can think, wow, that's so awesome. I can see my house empty and I can see my house with furniture. But it's really a letdown for the buyers.
Right.
When the buyers see these listings online, they get excited. They think they're going to see these rooms staged a certain way. I know for myself, I've been let down. I'll go in the house and be like, say, what? What's going on here? Right?
Yeah.
And part of it may be ignorance, right? On one hand, sellers think, well, I have to spend money to stage the home. So again, we're trying to educate people, right? Staging should not be something that is a cost to the seller.
Yep. So. Right. And it's really about that. And this is, you're expecting to walk into a room which is staged because the photograph showed it to be staged. And now you walk in and it's a big empty space. And you've lost the effect, you lost the wow factor of, well, hold on a minute. Where did they put the sofa in the virtual photograph? And that's why I think virtual staging much cheaper for the agent, but really does a disservice because the buyers inevitably going to come into the home. They're not going to buy a home without coming into the home. And the fact that when they walk in expecting to see, be it bedroom furniture or living room, family room furniture, it's a big empty space.
The other thing is, if you're in a situation where your house is full of lovely furniture, I just had a closing with some sellers who had been in their home for 40 plus years, and when it came to staging, it was really about decluttering and doing a little accessorizing.
Right.
So I think that's also important to point out. We talk about how one size doesn't fit all. We're here to help our sellers do whatever is necessary to help them get a better return on their home investment with the least amount of stress and aggravation. So maybe it means we just come in and through our staging, we're helping them get rid of the personal photos, getting rid of the diplomas, adding some knickknacks over here, decluttering over here. But it's really working within what their home has been like even take the home of the condominium we sold recently, the townhouse.
Yep.
Beautifully set up. We just helped them tweak it a little bit. So it's all about getting that wow, and we get it, whatever works. So.
Yep.
Love this. We have a whole staging crew. We have a staging team. We have a whole warehouse of furniture, our own personal home goods, so we can really stage a home that fits the style of the home. And we do that because we have this truck that is our MA Properties truck. And I just think it sends the right message that if you're out there looking to sell a house and you're not sure how to do it, let us do it. Let us help you stage it. And if you haven't used us, that it was a bad move.
Bad move. So, power of staging.
Yeah, it really does make a difference, and
No question.
it makes a difference because at the end of the day, you're going to get a better offer from the buyers who are out there. In fact, here are some statistics. 83% of buyers' agents said that a staged home helped the buyers visualize the property as a future home for theirs. That's really key. Buyers need to walk in the house and say, I can see myself living there.
Right.
Because then it goes from an emotional decision to a financial, I want it. Emotionally you've won them over. Now it's about how can I get
How
it.
can I do it, right? Yep.
Another cool statistic, 25% of buyers agents said that the potential buyers increased their offer between 1 and 5%, according to the National Association of Realtors. And that just plays on, I guess, what I was getting at before. Yep. Whereas buyers sometimes think, I just need to come in 10, 20,000 over. No, that's not the case anymore. And so when they see the home staged in a way they can relate to, they're going to be ready to make that 5% over asking offer price.
And to put 5% in context, 5% is $50,000
on $1 million
on an
home.
average on $1 million home,
Yeah.
right? Which is way less than in many towns, and the same as, for example, in Arlington, about the same price. So.
And 85% of homes surveyed were sold for 6 to 25% more than homes that were not staged. So it's really a no-brainer.
I think it is at this point. I mean, it clearly is. It really is that when they walk in and you've got them straight away. Yeah. And you're right. They go from being, once they've got that visceral feel, that connection with the home, then it becomes, how much can I afford? How much do I have to pay to get this home? That you want to do that, get that transition from the seller's
And then if you add the fact that what we've got going for us right now, the low mortgage rates, interest rates, I'll have buyers who will say, how much more do I have to put down? Well, if you increase your offer by 20 or 30,000 and your mortgage rate is the mortgage rate is low, they're talking about $40, $50 more per $10,000 on their offer price. Yeah. So they can handle that to get the house because of the way it's staged, because of how they feel, because of the location, because of how the sellers have taken care of the home. That's another thing buyers really notice. When a seller has taken care of their home, it speaks volumes.
Yep.
And I believe the sellers do.
Taking care of it and prepared the home. So back to that, what we talked about in the preparation stage.
Staging creates an emotional response from the buyer, and that's critical to getting the highest price for you, the seller. Other agents charge a service. We just want to point out that in our case, and hopefully in other cases, it should be, sellers realize it's not something you should pay for. Right. We do it because we know it makes a difference.
Part of it's the investment that we make to make your home sell more than the other homes on the market. Yep. That's really the key. It's kind of an investment that we make to get the highest price for your home. That's key, which is at the end of the day what it's all about. Though it's all about selling it. Sure, in this market, it's about selling it for the maximum price. And the way to do that is to stage, and that's why we make this investment in staging all of the homes that we bring on the market. We don't cherry pick one or the other. All of the homes that come on the market get some form of staging with us.
So staging these days, as Marcus has indicated, with COVID, we've really tried to be very accommodating for people's lifestyles and people's comfort levels with interacting with other people. Yeah. So now, say for instance, you and I go and I meet with a seller. I have a good sense of the layout of your home. I meet with our staging coordinator and I show her the photos or a video of your home. And then she sends out a wonderful email that goes room by room, recommendations. Again, these are just recommendations of what we would like to see you do in each particular room, how we would like you to depersonalize it, how we would like you to declutter it. And I have to tell you, that email becomes like a Bible. It's a really nice thing. We all want help getting organized, staying sane, and I think that speaks volumes for the staging aspect of our team. Really wonderful.
Yep.
Fortunately, we have the staging coordinator. We're still looking for some stagers, so if anyone knows people
That's
who
true.
like to stage, please help us. We need some stagers. We have our own moving truck, as you saw, and the team's really committed, and they have fun at it, and they really want your home to shine.
Right. Yeah. So before and afters, always good to see.
Absolutely. So wonderful looking, large, spacious living room, or so we think it's supposed to be a living room, right? It was on the market for 206 days, and it did not sell. And then...
So that living room was actually a dining room.
Oh my goodness, there you go. See, I really didn't know, right?
Right?
Yeah.
That's there's the problem writ large. People don't know what it is.
Yeah. And you're going to see with the next couple pictures, that says so much, because in this case, someone could think, well, I'm not sure how big a dining room table could fit.
Absolutely.
And this really shows that you could easily fit a table for 6 people.
Yep.
And you could fit a buffet table, and I love that. So it then sold. Go ahead.
Right, and then before it was 206 days not selling. We came in, did some minor updates, put that staging in, staged the whole room, and lo and behold, look what happened. Yeah. Even at well over $2 million, we got competing offers for that home. And that's exactly for the reasons we just talked about. People walked in and went, oh, okay, yeah, there's the dining room, there's the family room, and so on. So in the picture, the before, not really sure what room it is. How do I use this space? And we'll see more examples of that in a moment.
Same thing. Let's see if I get this one right. I think it's
supposed to get this one.
I think it's supposed to be a living room, but again,
right?
You don't know, and you don't
right?
know how much furniture
right.
will fit in there.
Right.
And so, again, this picture, it creates a picture, it creates a story, it helps the buyers.
Yeah. Here's an example where, what is that room for? What would I use that room for? Really confusing. That was a very confusing layout of this home as well. It wasn't an obvious layout, and so this, what do I use that room?
That was a great example. It was a nice little dining room.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now it's obviously a dining room, and that takes away all of that. Okay, there's my dining room, there's my family room, there's the master bedroom, and so on. And it really does, as you can see here, that room before, I'm not really sure. Is it an office? What do I use it for? And now I can see exactly what I use it for.
Okay, another example of a living room it's very nice looking. You see the wainscoting, and you see the crown molding, you see the decorative fireplace. But again, really how much furniture can fit in there. And I remember this house as a great example. A couch and two sofa, 2 chairs, and just a really nice living area for hanging out and entertaining or whatever you choose to do.
Right. So we've seen this picture before.
This
Remember
was the room
before,
with the pink floor, the pink
right.
walls, the light blue ceiling, the awful carpet. Looks like a cool space, but really, how good can it look? It can actually be a bedroom up on the 3rd level, and oftentimes we want a teenage room, or you have a au pair, or just want a guest room up on that 3rd level. And this really shows how beautifully it can turn out to be that way.
Yep.
Really nice.
That's the difference,
Yeah.
This one we should show all 3 to show the preparation and then the staging, but you can see the difference between that empty room. Sure, okay, it's a bedroom, but now, wow.
I think also what this points out is you look at the slant in the roof line, right? Mm-hmm. And you've got that window, and then you have that other little nook. Where would you put a bed, and what size bed would you put?
Right.
So we come along with our, air mattresses, and we show that you could actually probably fit that's a queen size bed,
It's a
maybe.
queen, yep.
Yeah, really nice.
Yep.
So your space, we have sellers who then don't want to leave, do they? After we've helped stage their home, they realize, you know what? My home's had a facelift.
Yeah, I didn't realize it could look this good. We get that quite often, actually. Now I don't want to move.
And this speaks to the fact that we also stage new construction. We don't, say just because it's new construction, it can sell on its own. In fact, sometimes new construction itself is quite funky. We know that.
Yep.
And buyers need help. So in this case, this was a beautiful new construction home with lots of different earthy metals and woods and stones that were used. And we staged it and showed what a beautiful living area it is with that very nice gas fireplace. And it really speaks just by looking at the angle. You have the windows looking out to the woods. Right. Really nice. Okay, another example of a room, a house that was a FSBO for sale by owner on the market for over a year. First a FSBO, then on the market. So the same house, right? It was on the market.
We showed the front, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that house that painted the garage doors and painted the trim. When we looked inside at the layout of that house actually had a very sort of unique layout. And it was hard, I think, for buyers to visualize when it wasn't staged.
Yep.
So we start with this room and turn that room into a really lovely living area, and putting 2 couches and some accessories was really helpful to the buyer. Take it a step further, and you can comment on this one. The rest of the house had a really tricky layout, so go for it.
Yeah, so if I can highlight here if I can, that's the living room. This is the dining room, but there's a chandelier, so I kind of guess that's the dining room. What do I use this room for? And that really was the challenge, that the buyers were coming into this space, not really sure how to use the space, as Rachel said. It was a somewhat unique layout, but with this, I'm totally confused. But lo and behold, here we go. The family room, or the living room at the front was staged. That's now clearly a dining room. And now, what do we do with that third room? Well, we make it a kind of hangout space, maybe a pre or post dinner drinks room. So you're kind of leading the buyer to say, this is how you could use this space. Now, clearly they may not, but this is how you could use it. And that made it much clearer, whereas the photograph there with no furniture in, very confusing in terms of what that would look like and how you would approach that. So that's really the power of staging, is really to take an empty space and lo and behold, make it look like something.
Sure, and I think if you step back for a moment and just consider what we saw on those other slides, this seller must have been pretty frustrated. To be a seller by owner, didn't have any success, put it on the market with an agent for over a year, no success. Then FSBO again. At some point, you got to be like, what is going on here, right? So that's what we don't want to happen. Because clearly, not a win. But at the end of the day, I remember, because I brought the buyer to this house. I remember, and the buyers loved it. And I think we faced some competition, and in the end, the seller got a very good price. And
just because the preparation, most of it was done, there was just a small amount that needed to be done, but it really was about the staging, the physical staging, so that a buyer could walk into the house and immediately understand what's what. And this is, back to that virtual staging trend that we're seeing today. Virtual staging, when they walk into the house, this is what they see.
Well, so
now
they see this
totally
on MLS.
confused.
Show them what they see this on the web.
They see this in the photographs, but when they actually go there in person, which is really what matters, this is what they see. Now hold on a minute. What did they use this room for? And all of a sudden, you've lost the buyers straight away. That's the problem with this virtual, because they are going to look at it online and go, okay, yes, I'll go and see it. But it's really when they're there in person, that's where they fall in love with it. That's when that visceral feel kicks in. And that's what you lose with the virtual staging. And
an offer isn't an offer till it's in writing.
There you go.
So the virtual staging sounds sexy until you show up in the house and it's a letdown and you've lost the buyer.
Right, and you've lost the buyer at that point. Right? Absolutely. Yep. And if you've lost the buyer, you've lost multiple buyers, and that inevitably means you're going to get less money.
And then we go back to the graph that says you didn't that first weekend, no over the asking offer, and at that point it's 1,000 cuts until you finally get an offer.
Yep, death by 1,000 price cuts. So that's staging. So we've created the product, or you've understood the market. That's what Smart Decisions is all about. You've made the right decisions. You've prepared the home. You've now staged the home. We've got that product that we know today's buyers want. We've done everything right. Today's buyers want this home. So now we need to get it in front of those buyers. And that's where this marketing kicks in. Because it really is, exposure, exposure, exposure. Get it out to the maximum number of the buyers out there. So, first question that we get asked quite often is, does marketing matter in a seller's market? Well, yes, it does. Perhaps it doesn't matter to selling the home, although in many cases it does for the reasons we've just explained. But it most definitely matters when it comes to getting the highest price. That's the key. You don't want to be on that curve that Rachel talked about, death by 1,000 price cuts. You don't want to be on that curve, because that's a very demoralizing curve to be on. You definitely don't want to be there. So marketing does matter, and digital marketing is key in this market for the reasons I explained before. This is how buyers make decisions. They decide online whether they're going to buy. Then they make those private showings. And what we found is that there's really a direct correlation between how much activity you get on that digital media and how many private showings you get. 40 plus views of the 3D tour means you're probably going to get 20 plus private showings. And then clearly there's a correlation between the number of private showings and the number of offers that you get. 20 private showings equates to 2, 3, 4 offers on the home. So there's that direct correlation between the number of times people view the 3D tour, the digital media, to the private showings, and then private showings to offers. And the more offers you get, inevitably, means the price goes higher. That's key. So marketing does very much matter. Because if you take this example here, here's the key. 0 days on the market. It came on the market, and the same day it was changed to under agreement. So the question is, did the maximum number of buyers see this home? And if the answer is no, and in this case clearly the answer is no, they didn't see the home, then you're not going to get competition for this home. And you can see it there. It's sold for exactly the same price it was brought on the market for. In this market where we can see 106% sale price to list price ratio, 110%,
so
sometimes even higher than that.
Just to jump in for a moment and be devil's advocate, I think what I've learned when I see this happen is that perhaps sellers are told, this is the easiest way to do it. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
Don't stress. Let us just, whatever, behind the scenes, get it sold for you. But it's a disservice to the seller. Because clearly, the things that can be done on their behalf that we've already been talking about are what they should expect. Because I do believe a house at this price point in any of the towns we've been looking at would sell for over $869 if
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, anywhere from 10, perhaps even 20% over asking.
Yes.
10% over asking is $90,000. 20%, $180,000. That's a lot of money, right? We're not talking 5,000 over asking here. 10% clearly at this price point. There would be a huge amount of competition if this home had gone through the preparation and staging that we just talked about.
So I wonder what sellers are told that they would think that it's easier for them to do it this way. You just don't know.
True. So. But I mean, the key is, at the end of the day, if you ask sellers what they want, yes, they want it easy. We've got that with the team approach, project management to get through preparation, an in-house staging team to get your home staged, minimum amount of effort and disruption on you. Relax, we've got this. And then lo and behold, marketing finishing that up, and what you end up at the end of the day is with a much higher
So it's hard for
price.
us to see this happen.
Right, yes.
We don't like this.
Yes, we don't like this.
The seller didn't win here.
We just don't like this. We just didn't.
The seller did not win.
No, absolutely not. So the reason I gave you the stats before around the correlation between digital views of the digital media to the private showings and so on is really wrapped up in some technology we brought in place last year, last part of 19, early part of 2020, and we've been kind of expanding it moving forward. A way to keep you up to date with what's happening while your home is being prepared on the market, and then from accepted offer through to closing. And the key thing is here, this side here, this listing dashboard. This is the number of views in this case of the 3D tour, and you can see how that kind of plays out. And that's key, because once you see lots of activity, what that means is, guess what? No surprise, lots of activity. That means I'm going to get lots of private showings. We show you that too. Then you can be assured that, okay, come Tuesday, guess what? There's going to be activity. I'm going to get offers on this home. Be prepared for that. So this is really important, very popular with our sellers. We have a similar one for our buyers too, actually. But it really does keep you informed about what's happening, as I say, in all phases of bringing your home, all the way from the initial part of preparation, all the way through to closing, giving you lots and lots of information, a one-stop shop for everything about what's happening with your home. So back to marketing for a minute. Lots of different components of them. Why don't we kind of talk through a couple of those, photos, video, and 3D tours. And actually, I'll show you an example in a moment of one of our websites as well to kind of show how it all fits together. So photographs. Clearly, photography, professional photography sells homes. Always has. Be it a more contemporary home or a much older home. Here, the home on the older home there. We sold it. Actually, this is the third time we've sold that home. 3 different sellers. So as you can see, irrespective of more contemporary versus old, photographs kind of speak volumes, really. It really does look at it, and you look at that rich colors you get with those older homes. Yes, this is what somebody wants. So photography clearly sells homes. And here's an example of where maybe it doesn't. But these are not our photographs, I should add. This is the same kitchen. Now, think about this from a buyer's perspective. They are looking at all that digital media, they're looking at the photographs, and they're making a decision about whether this is a home they want to invest their time in going to see. Now, the home on the left, actually it's been staged. I mean, it's got a little bit less tchotchkes than the one on the right, but it's been staged. The work's been done. But lo and behold, the photography just lets it down. It looks like a really small, pokey little kitchen. Look at the one on the right. That's actually not the case. It's a wide open kitchen. And you can see the difference between those photographs and the difference it makes, and say the buyer's making that decision. Am I going to see that home? If this was two different homes, the decision would be, I'll go to the home on the right hand side. I won't go to the one on the left. And you don't want to be the home on the left, because in this case, then say it's exactly the same home. And we see examples after example. Here's a couple of examples. Here's a kitchen. As you can see, the one on the right is ours. The one on the left is out of focus. It's blurry. The photograph is blurry. This one, I don't know what to say about that one. It's a little bit blurry as well, but it really doesn't look inviting at all. There's been they haven't done anything to make this kitchen look like something that what you want. A buyer walks in and goes, wow, I want this house.
So just to share a cute example, our sellers in Waltham recently, it was an older home, and it needed some love. So after, when it was staged, the kitchen that had the brown cabinets and a green counter, mind you, green Formica, we had put bowls. The stagers had put a bowl of green apples,
right?
And they had put something else with some green. And I have to tell you, people, including us, it actually looked really sweet,
right?
So the datedness actually was charming. It was a vintage, but so this unfortunately looks rather
done nothing, right? Out of focus. But there's, back to that preparation and staging, could really use some paint. Right. And it could use some staging, and it would look clearly, and then the correct photography look much better. So there's a great example of what not to do.
It doesn't have to be fancy, but it can be really charming. Yeah.
So as well as being out of focus, what I really like about this photograph, no, not really, is the box of tissues. That's what really. And that once people see that home, their expectations are low. Here's a blurred photograph with clearly no staging whatsoever. And here's another one which is even more blurry. And these are real photographs. And it really does matter in terms of today's buyers, because as I say, they're going to make decisions whether they're going to go to the open house.
Well, they make that decision
whether they're going to make
quickly,
the private showing.
As soon as they look at photos, they're whipping through so many listings
Right.
that when they see photos right away that deter them, they don't even want to see it. Sometimes you have to convince them, it actually looks a lot better in person.
Yep. Trust me, it'll look better in person. Absolutely, yeah. So photography matters. Clearly, photography matters. Video matters too. We do a whole array of different videos designed for different audiences. Some of it may be designed for social media. Top 5 reasons you'll love this home works well on social media. We do a standard walkthrough video. A little bit more context to that than a series of photographs. I'll show you our website in a minute and how they kind of fits together. But it gives a little bit more context, not as much as the 3D tour, which is what I'll transition to in a moment. But it kind of helps, as most people today, if you're looking to do something, how do I do this? What does it look like? They'll go straight for a video, and clearly it's important to have that video presence. And then for some of our larger homes, what we've done is given a lifestyle video. How would you live in this home for some of the larger homes? So a whole array of different videos that we choose depending on the home in some cases, and certainly geared for the different platforms there are out there. And the key is to take all of this and kind of wrap it up in a website. So let me bring up one of our websites a moment. Let me do this. Excuse me a second. There we go. And let me do this. There we go. So this is the website that we pulled together, bringing all of those digital media together into a single location. And we'll do that. This is a home we actually brought on the market last weekend. We actually had competing offers on this home, so it's sold for over asking. I'll just say that now that it's already been sold. That's our dog, by the way. Here. Hello, Suda. What are you? So here everything is wrapped up into a website. And so as I kind of go down through this website, so here's information. First thing is you need to provide a potential buyer with lots of information about the home. Beds, baths, square footage, school district, parking, all of that. That's key. And then what we do is we have beautiful narrative that talks the buyer through the home. And we kind of intersperse the narrative with these photographs. Here's the exterior of the home. There it is, a beautiful home. And kind of that narrative kind of bringing the home to life, if you like. Here's the interior, back to those beautiful, well-lit photographs. You can see the difference with what we showed you previously. And so we kind of go through every room in the home, because every room in the home has been staged. As you can see, here's the dining room. And so we'll go down to the kitchen and so on. Exterior, all the bedrooms, there's some office, there's the bedrooms have been staged. So you're kind of walking them through the home as you anticipate they'll go through it. Then what we do is we go to the video, as we just talked about. But before you get to the video, the key thing that we think is really powerful is the 3D tour. So let me walk you through what the 3D tour is. Let me kind of fire up a moment. Here we go. So inevitably, the order of the photographs, the narrative we create, the direction we go through with the video, we're the director, if you want, for want of a better word. The 3D tour allows you, the potential buyer, to be the director. Let me put this in full screen mode. It might be a little easier, if it'll go. There we go. So now with this technology, you can go wherever you want. So here we are on the first floor. As you can see, you can go from room to room. There's the dining room. You can see the layout of it. I'm going to go into the kitchen here in a minute. There we go. And so on. So you can kind of see where you are in the home. And you can spend as long as you want in the home.
At any hour.
At any hour. And you can do it with perhaps, friends and family who may be somewhere else. You can look at the home with them while you're kind of going through it. They're not physically here, but you can do it virtually. Hey, look at this family room in this case.
I mean, that's key, because we've had buyers who one member of the family wasn't present and couldn't be present during that weekend, and actually would make offers on homes that they hadn't all seen. And
it's key that it's not, you're not there clearly, but it's as good. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good second, if I can say. We're very, very close to being in that home. You can jump between the different floors. You can go up the stairs if you want. I'll take the shorthand route. Here we are in the master by the look of it. And as you can see, you can really get a sense of the home. There's a nice floor plan. This is the floor plan with furniture. So you can see, yes, a queen bed does fit in each of these rooms. Maybe a twin bed fits in one of those rooms, but it gives you a sense of the layout of the home with furniture in it, which is key. That's absolutely key. And then the last view, and I'll turn all of the floors on with this. Let me do this, excuse me. All the floors. It can give you a kind of, it's called a dollhouse view, a different perspective on the home in terms of what's over what. So how would I expand the bathroom? How would I do that? Is there a bathroom below and above this bathroom? If you're looking to play all kinds of what ifs, and today's buyers do play all kinds of what ifs, then this is an ideal tool to allow them to do that in terms of how do I expand it, how do I expand the bathroom, and so on. So a kind of different perspective, and one that you can't get without this technology. So we think the 3D tour is hugely powerful in terms of allowing today's buyers, let me go back to that.
Engaging with them, right? Grabbing their attention,
yep.
And really, yeah.
Wherever you are, because even today, where there aren't the open houses where you're competing with lots of people, it was hugely powerful then. Buyers tend not to get that long in a home. They may only get 30 minutes, maybe on a Saturday and a Sunday. So that's 1 hour they've got to spend in the home. With this technology, they can spend as long as they want, whenever they want. As they're lying awake in bed at 2 a.m. in the morning, about to write that offer, how big was the closet upstairs? We can go to the 3D tour and we can put our mind at rest. Because buyers, as they're about to make that offer, inevitably there's a little bit of remorse, a little bit of uncertainty. And so this technology, as well as everything else we provide the buyers, kind of is designed very much to put that at ease so that they know everything about the home before they make the decision. And that, in that case, they're very unlikely to change their mind afterwards because they've made a solid buying decision beforehand. So there's the 3D tour. There's that video we talked about, allowing the buyer to get a different context on it, a little bit more context than the photographs. And then we wrap it up with, guess what, the feature sheet. We put all of this online now, as well as physical. That's all there. And then
if you don't mind, just show where you can open up the floor plan. I think that's really important. Right here?
Yep, here, yep.
That one. Because even though it's shown in the feature sheet, I find buyers really do like this because they can click on it and open it up.
Right. As large as you want, print it out, do what they will. So that's important too.
And the plot plan option as well, that information.
Yeah, that's
I think
there
is
as
really
well.
helpful.
There's the plot plan of where this home is, kind of giving you the context of where's the home in relation to the land, as well as the other homes around it. So that's there too. Then finally, this is a Lexington home. Schools are, inevitably important. It shows you the proximity of the house to the different schools in the area. And then finally, the proximity of the house to public transport, be it Lex Express or the bus routes that go through the bike path and so on. So kind of giving the buyer everything they need about that home. The home itself, where it is, the floor plan, everything about what the school systems are. You want to give them all the information you possibly can in one location, and that's key. So let me scoot back to the PowerPoint. So there's that website. I mean, that's key. This was another home. Now, you've created everything here. You created all of the information about the home. Now the question becomes, how do you get it out in front of prospective buyers, if I can say it? And we have two approaches here. First of all, we go broad. We get it out to as broad a section of potential buyers as we can through social media. Here's examples of some of our social media advertising, getting it out in front of potential home buyers in the area. No point advertising in California, we're in Massachusetts, but the whole idea is to get it out to a broad range of people who maybe are not buyers, but maybe they know somebody who is a buyer. And the key with social media is to have that compelling narrative, but photographs is key. Because if you put a poor photograph on social media, it'll just zip past on their newsfeed. It really won't grab the attention. Same with the videos that we put there as well. They really need to be there to grab people's attention. So first strategy is to go broad with social media. Second strategy is to go very targeted. And the idea here is that every buyer who's come to an open house has touched us in some way where we know what they're looking for. Maybe it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home priced less than $1 million in Watertown. Whatever it may be, we can then take those group of buyers and say, guess what? You are interested in this home, which was 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. We have this one coming on the market. Here's all the information about that home. Here's a link to our website. Everything's on the website. So we go broad initially, and then we go very targeted, and we use our huge online database of buyers we have, which we've segmented, numerous different ways to begin that kind of targeted view, targeted marketing to say, hey, you are interested in this home, you will also be interested in this home.
Just to give an example that comes to mind is, think of the home we had on Baskin earlier this year, 34 offers. So one buyer got it. There were 33 other buyers that were looking, and we then knew we'd have similar priced homes or similar style homes that we could target emails. And also, it's the beauty of the relationship, right, that we're building with both buyers and sellers to reach out and say, look, you didn't get that one, but let's take a look at this one. And
right. Yep.
So.
That's true. Absolutely. So that's marketing. Key to have all of that. You've done all the work in preparing and staging the home. Then you do that marketing effort, photographs, 3D tours, videos, you name it, we do it. That's key because that's what today's buyers are looking for. You're directly what today's buyers are looking for. And kind of that's the key. And then to kind of wrap it up now. So we've talked a lot about, well, the project manager will help with the preparation. We have a staging team. So that's what the next section is really all about: excellence through teamwork. I mean, that's key. We have specialists working on every component of bringing your home to the market and taking it, once you have an accepted offer, all the way through to closing. That's the whole idea. Do you want to do this or me?
Sure, we can play off each other.
Okay.
So I think what you're hitting on is just this: if there's a real partnership here, right? The client is always the center of the focus, center of our focus, and depending on that particular seller's needs, we know that we're going to give them the marketing and the staging and the preparation and the everything that it takes to help their house really present as beautifully as possible to attract as many buyers as possible. And the role of the agent is to continue that relationship being one that has ongoing communications back and forth. Right. And then knowing that we have the listing coordinator and the closing coordinator who really make everything run smoothly is wonderful.
Right. That's their role. That's their job. The agent is still the agent, still in charge, is the point person. But in many cases, let the staging team, you coordinate that. We will coordinate that with the staging team. And the beauty of having all of these people in-house, this is the key differentiator, we think, is bringing all of that in-house. That means we have control not only of the quality, and hopefully we've shown you the quality in the presentation we've gone through, but also the timing. The whole idea is to make it as easy as possible for you, the client, you, the seller, you, the buyer too. So that's the key, make it as easy as possible. So bringing all of that in-house, it's not a case of, well, I couldn't get the stages in, for example, we always inevitably try to get the staging in the morning and the photography in the afternoon. Why do we do that? Minimizes the disruption on the client. Now, if the client's moved out, we clearly don't need to do that. But if the client is in the home, we'll stage in the morning, we'll photograph in the afternoon, not photograph 2 days later. How am I going to keep the place looking tidy? Because the children are coming back in after you've done the photography. And so that's the beauty of keeping it all in-house, is having the control not only of the quality, but also the timing. And that timing is all about minimizing the amount of disruption on yourself, because we have control. We can organize staging on Thursday morning, photographs on Thursday afternoon. That's the beauty of it. And our goal here, of course, is to sell your home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time with zero hassle or stress. Not sure we can guarantee zero. It is a stressful process, but the whole remit is, and everything we've talked about over the last hour or so, is about getting the most amount of money, least amount of time. That means selling in the first weekend, but making it as hassle-free, as stress-free as we possibly can. That's the key.
I love something that I think we really take to heart is, you may start off as a client, but you end as a friend. And it's about the relationship.
Very much so. It's not a transaction from our perspective. It's about that relationship. That's the key. The house we just mentioned when we photographed, we've sold it 3 times. 3 different sellers. I mean, it really is about that relationship, the help that we've given people over the years. I mean, that's what creates experiences we're talking about ultimately. That's kind of key.
It's an incredible feeling to help your seller do all this stuff, put the home on the market, and to be able to present them with these offers that you see them beam, because they've taken such pride in their home, and to help them see that others want their home as well. It's an incredible feeling.
Right.
It really is.
Yep. Our core values. This is kind of key to us as a team, as an organization, as people, that everybody within our organization really holds front and center. It's really about integrity and ethical behavior. That's key. And education, not selling. I mean, the reason we're doing these masterclasses is to educate the sellers. We do similar ones for buyers too. Educate the sellers so that when they're bringing their home on the market, they're as well prepared as they can be in terms of getting the maximum price. Nothing worse than making poor decisions because you weren't informed about what you should have done right. And so it really is about education. That's kind of key for us. And with our team-based approach, exceptional customer service, because we have control over all of that whole process. That's key. So exceptional customer service, because we control all aspects of it, that's kind of key. Professional versus Aunt Mary.
Go for it.
So, you really do need a professional who does this day in, day out to get the highest price.
You can't do it half part-time?
No. Doesn't work. Just doesn't work. Because there's a lot to do in terms of getting your home from some of the photographs, the before photographs we showed you, to an accepted offer that was 15% over asking. That's not something that happens by accident. That's for sure, right? It just doesn't. There's a lot of hard work that goes into that, and that's why you really do need a team, a professional that does it day in, day out. There's an expression in our industry called the 3 Ps agent, which is put a sign outside, put it in MLS, and pray. And that just doesn't work. It might sell the home, but it's not going to sell the home for the highest price. It just isn't. You can't put a home on the market. It not ready. It just doesn't work if you're looking to maximize the sale price. One of the challenges we face in the industry is that as a study commissioned by the National Association of Realtors was that masses of marginal agents destroy the reputation of the industry. The real estate industry is saddled with a large number of part-time, untrained, unethical or incompetent agents. And this knowledge gap threatens the credibility of the industry. That's pretty powerful. If you kind of listen to read what that says, it's a very damning indictment of the real estate industry. And the key, what we do is different from that. And hopefully in what we've shown you throughout all of this kind of brings that home too. And what we've shown you is what you should expect from us or from somebody else. Right. But it's what you should expect. That's for sure. Who are our agents? The team. Well, Danny, myself, Rachel's here this evening, Corinne, Andrew, Yuki, Wenjen and Rachel, who just joined our team. That's kind of our core team of agents. We like a small team. It really does give us that kind of family approach. That's kind of key for us. Yep, absolutely. It is that we back to that integrity and ethics. Everybody has to have that, and it's kind of key to our agents in the team really bring that to the fore. And if you talk to any of them, you'll get that message from any of them. So, how do you succeed? What are the steps to success? First one, I think, is get us in to advise you even years in advance. When we talked about preparation, what Rachel said was, if you're going to be in the home for 5 years, go ahead and put a new kitchen in. Why not? You're going to get the benefit from it. If you're going to be in the home 6 months, don't. Because you'll put the investment in, but you really won't get any of the benefit. You'll get as much benefit if you've gone through that preparation stage. So that's why it's important to get us in even years in advance. If you say, I'm going to be here at least for the next 5 years, do you think I should put in a new kitchen? Sure, absolutely. You get the benefit from it. It'll still be almost new in 5 years' time. Today's buyers want move-in ready. A 5-year-old kitchen is within that time frame. So yes, you go ahead and do that. Plan your move. Where are you going to move? When you're going to move? Do you need help to sell to buy? The order of buying versus selling. That's a perennial question in terms of buying and selling. What order do I do it in? Do I buy first? Do I sell first? There's a lot of different variations to that based on what time of year, where you're buying, where are you selling, and so on. So really do get us in to advise on how to plan that move. Think about it, get us in to tell you what are the different options when it comes to timing a buy and a sell, for example. That's key. And start preparing. That's, I think, the key one that...
Hard for any of us.
It is,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
Yeah, you're right, it is, you're right, yeah, you're right. It's not easy, is
No.
it? It's not. But the earlier you start, the less effort it becomes at the end, because we do go into homes and that work hasn't been done, and I really want to be on the market in 2 months' time. Oh, that's a lot of work, isn't it? We had the situation just the other day that a seller was saying, well, I'd like to be on by the end of the month. And we went in and went, no, you can't. You're just not going to get, based on what we've talked about this evening, the highest price.
You might as well comment on this idea of, let's just test the market, though. Why can't we just try? right? We've heard that on
We've heard that
occasion.
before.
Right.
Especially this time of year. Somebody will say, well, let's put it on the market here around November and let's see what happens. So be it price or condition or whatever it may be, and it doesn't sell. Now you bring it on in February. First question is, why didn't it sell in October? Why didn't it sell in November?
Right.
So inevitably, back to what we said, buyers are educated.
So do the preparation, declutter the home, take your time, get it on at the right time.
Right, do everything and then bring it on the market. It really is that kind of big bang approach is the right approach. And have everything ready.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible to bring a home on the market on a Thursday. The Winthrop that I showed you just then, this is exactly what happened. Brought it on the market on a Thursday, competing offers on a Tuesday. But that only happens if you put everything in place on that Thursday. That's the key. Photos coming sometime next week. Too late. We're going to be sold by Tuesday. I mean that's the key. Information is key. We have a Selling Essentials set of videos on our website. There's 100+ of them out there. Lots of information about the market. That's key. All of it's there. So feel free to go poke around on our website, Selling Essentials, organized by the different phases of coming on the market. There's lots and lots of information there. And at the end of the day, get us in for a no obligation market analysis. How much is my home worth? It's a great opportunity to do that. So, feel free to get us in. We can give you that market analysis, no obligation, just to kind of tell you where, and while we're doing it, by the way, we'll tell you, well, maybe you should think about painting this room, or, this two rooms need to be decluttered. There'll be other advice that will come out of that conversation that comes out, not just the value of your home, but also about some of the things you need to do to get top dollar for your home, which is key, I think.
Excellence through teamwork.
I've talked enough.
Okay, it's all right. The partnership. Partnering with you, you can reach out to anyone on our team, and we're all here to help you. Our aim is to provide exceptional customer service and to educate you every step of the way. Communication is key, both ways. And relax, we've got this.
We've got this, right?
We're
Absolutely.
Here for you.
That's the key, right?
Yeah, it's the key, and I love this last slide. Ultimately, we really think that you, our client, deserves to be the smartest person at the closing table. And as buyers continue to be so savvy these days, we want you, the seller, to equally know not just what you should do, but what can be done to get you the best possible price and to help you make that happen. So. Right,
and everybody benefits from that, from being smarter about their home buying and selling. That's sure. That's for sure.
So. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, anyone who potentially listened to us this evening. Reach out. We're here to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. As you can see, lots of information. Hopefully, lots of enthusiasm for what we do. So, if you have any questions, please reach out to us, and we'd be sure to answer you. Thank you. Bye.